January 16, 2004. A packed conference room in New York City, cameras everywhere, reporters shouting questions, and standing at the podium, shaking hands with grown men twice his size, is a 14-year-old boy in an oversized suit. His name gets called first overall in the MLS draft. And just like that, Freddy Adu becomes the youngest athlete to sign a professional sports contract in America in over a century. Nike is already lining up a deal. Sierra Mist puts him in national commercials. Pele himself is being name-dropped in the same sentence as this kid's future. The whole country is watching a middle schooler and calling him the next face of American soccer. But here's the twist nobody saw coming that day. 2 decades later, you won't find Freddy Adu lifting trophies in Madrid or starring for Manchester United. You'll find him having played for 15 different clubs across 9 different countries, bouncing from league to league, chasing something that kept slipping just out of reach. So what actually happened to the boy who was supposed to be Pele? Let's go back to where it all began. Freddy Adu wasn't just hyped. He was manufactured into a phenomenon before he'd even played a single professional minute. Born in Ghana, he moved to the United States with his mother at just 8 years old, and it didn't take long for scouts to notice something different about the way he moved with a ball at his feet. By the age of 12, Inter Milan had already come calling, stunned that an American kid had the kind of technical polish they'd only ever seen out of South America or Europe. His family turned that offer down. 2 years later, Sir Alex Ferguson personally brought him in for a trial at Manchester United, watching him train alongside players who were nearly a decade older, just to see if the hype held up. It did. When DC United picked him first overall, then U.S. national team coach Bruce Arena was already calling him the most gifted kid he had ever seen at that age, and when he scored his first professional goal at 15, becoming the youngest goal scorer in MLS history, the league didn't just have a rising star. It had a golden ticket. Attendance spiked wherever he played. His face was suddenly everywhere. But underneath all of that noise, a kid who should have been worrying about homework was instead carrying the commercial weight of an entire league on his shoulders. Here's the part of the story people forget. Freddy Adu was actually good. Really good. In his rookie season alone, he played in all 30 regular season games and helped DC United win the MLS Cup. But talent was never really the problem. The problem was that everyone around him, the league, the sponsors, even the coaches, were figuring things out in real time with no blueprint for what to do with a 14-year-old superstar. There was no roadmap for managing that kind of pressure. No system built to protect a kid from being overexposed before his body or his mind had even caught up to his talent. He clashed with his coach at DC United. He left for Real Salt Lake and lasted less than a year. Then came Europe, where things got even messier. A move to Benfica should have been the platform that launched him into elite football. Instead, a loan to Monaco turned into a nightmare of a power struggle between the club president who wanted him and a coach who didn't believe he was ready. He barely played. And, once that door closed, everything else seemed to unravel right behind it. Now, here's a question for you before we keep going. If you were a Freddy Adu fan back in 2004, drop a comment right now and tell us exactly where you were when you first heard his name. What followed next is one of the strangest career arcs in modern football history. From Monaco, Adu drifted to Belenenses in Portugal, then to Aris in Greece, then Philadelphia Union, back in MLS, where the hype had cooled but the expectations hadn't, then Turkey, then Brazil, then Serbia, then Finland, then Sweden. 15 clubs, 9 countries. A resume that reads less like a career and more like a passport stamped by disappointment. He was still only in his mid-20s, an age where most elite players are entering their prime. But Freddy Adu was already being talked about in the past tense. In 2018, standing back at the same DC United Stadium where it all started, he admitted that it all went by faster than he ever imagined. That at 15, he genuinely believed he had all the time in the world. Looking back, one of the most telling things he'd later admit was that talent alone was never going to be enough. There were players far less gifted than him who simply outworked him, and one by one, they passed him by. By 2021, after a short and unsuccessful stint with a Swedish third-tier club, Freddy Adu's playing career quietly came to an end, not with a farewell tour or a hero send-off, but with a club statement confirming his release. No fireworks, no headlines, just silence, which might be the cruelest ending possible for someone who once had the entire world watching his every move. These days, Adu isn't chasing another comeback. He's spending his time coaching young players, using his own story as a warning label for the next generation of prodigies, telling them what he wishes someone had told him. Even MLS Commissioner Don Garber has since admitted the league got it wrong, pushing Adu into the spotlight before either he or the sport around him was ready for what that meant. So was Freddy Adu a failure? Or was he simply the first kid to walk a path nobody had ever mapped out before, paying the price so the Alphonso Davies and Kevin Sullivans of the world wouldn't have to? That's a question we're sitting with. And if the story hit different for you, make sure you're subscribed, because we're telling the stories football tried to forget, one legend at a time.